Hello everyone! Today is a tutorial on installing a gearbox kit. The tools you will need are first, use the medium socket of the T-tool to unscrew the side nut. Note there is a washer here. Then remove the wheel. Note there is another washer here. Next, use a Torx wrench. Unscrew these two screws on the belt guard Then remove the belt guard. Remove the timing pulley and belt. Next, first remove the motor wire from its mount. Hold the threaded part with your right hand. Hold the other side with your left hand. Rotate as shown in the video. Rotate to the degree shown. Disconnect the motor wire connector. Use a Torx wrench. Secure both sides. Rack. Remove the 4 screws holding the motor in place with a plumb hex wrench. Remove the 8 screws from the motor anti-collision bracket. Use a Torx wrench. Remove the 4 screws securing the motor. Note there is a washer here. Then remove the motor. Use an Allen wrench and a card tool. To fix the flange plate to the motor bracket, remove these 4 screws. Use the small slot of the card tool to secure the lock nut on this side. On the other side, use an Allen wrench. Unscrew these 4 screws, then remove the motor bracket. Next, we need to confirm the direction of each gearbox kit: gearbox housing, anti-collision cage, motor gear, gearbox top guard. These positions are marked as A, B, C, D respectively, as the picture shows. Next, we need to use the outer flame of a blowtorch, aiming at the machine screw mounting holes on the motor. Heat for about 2 minutes. You'll see smoke coming from the motor gear. Then, use an Allen wrench to unscrew this machine screw. Place the motor gear removal tool on the motor gear. Screw the motor gear removal tool. Align it with the motor drive shaft. Rotate with an Allen wrench as shown in the video until the motor drive gear is removed. Wait for the motor drive shaft to cool. Note, there is a hole on the motor drive shaft. There is also a hole on the gearbox specific motor gear. Install the gearbox specific gear onto the motor drive shaft. Align the 2 holes. Then apply thread locker to the machine screw. Tighten it into the hole with an Allen wrench. Use a Torx wrench. Unscrew these 4 screws on the anti-collision cage. Then remove the motor mount on the crash cage. Place the motor into the anti-collision cage. Place the motor wire into the corresponding hole. Then align the motor bracket on the anti-collision cage. Use a Torx wrench. Tighten the 4 screws that fix the motor. Then fix the anti-collision cage and the motor bracket with these 4 screws. Apply thread locker. Use a Torx wrench, tighten to the corresponding 4 positions. Install the gearbox onto the bridge rod. Put the screws through these 4 holes. On the other side, hand tighten the nuts. Use the card tool to hold the nut. On the other side, use an Allen wrench. Tighten the screws. Note not to tighten the screws first. Tighten to the gearbox. The power kit can still be slightly adjusted to this extent. Install the kit as shown in the video. Align the 4 screw holes. Then fit the screws with washers. Apply thread locker. Tighten to the corresponding holes with a Torx wrench. Then fine-tune the position of the gearbox so that the gearbox, the anti-collision cage, and the bridge rod have a certain distance. Then tighten all the screws. Then fit the motor wire connector. Adjust the position of the motor wire as shown in the video. There's an arrow on each side of the electrical wire. Align the arrows and plug it in. Then tighten the clasp of the motor wire connector. Then put the motor wire back onto its mount. Align the gearbox top guard to the corresponding position. Align this screw with this hole. Align this screw with this hole. Apply thread locker to each tighten with a Torx wrench. Install the other side using the same method. Note the installation method shown in the video here. Note, do not tighten these 4 screws on the flange plate yet. Allow the entire gearbox power kit some degree of adjustment. Adjust the 2 power kits to the same position, then tighten all 4 screws. Place the wheel washers onto the bridge rod. Note there's a cushioning pad at the connector. If it accidentally falls off, just reinstall it back to its original position. Install the connector to the hub as shown. Apply thread locker to each of these 5 screws. Tighten with a Torx wrench. Mount the wheel onto the axle. Be aware that the axle sleeve might get stuck on the axle. Use a wrench to correctly position the axle sleeve. Then rotate the wheel. Fit the hub synchronizing wheel into the gearbox. Then place the washer. Tighten the side nut. The installation method for the gearbox kits is the same for both front and rear sections. That's the end of this tutorial. See you in the next one.